Welcome to episode number 22 of the Eavesdrop podcast. This episode today is brought to you by three lovely sponsors. Thank you for supporting the Eavesdrop and every single one of you watchers for supporting the Eavesdrop so much that it got to the point to where we have three sponsors this time around. How nasty and cool is that? Thank you so much. Squarespace, I'll tell you a little bit more about them. Later on in the video. We also have ExpressVPN, a very, very new one, expressvpn.com/eavesdrop. I'll tell you a little bit more about them later on in the podcast. And last but not least, a comeback king, Candid.co. And I'll tell you more about that later on. Today, our special guest, and I say special because I have known this person since 2010. And since then, we've had a very, very cool relationship because she has gone through something that not a lot of mothers in the world have gone through. Her son is none other than Seth Scump Abner, Kristen Abner. Thank you for stopping by and welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on the podcast. I've been looking forward to this.
So have I. We've tried to make this podcast happen twice at different events, but obviously, as you know, events don't often go the way we want them to. This happened this past weekend, and we don't have the chance to, but we do today.
We do.
Thank you for stopping by. Number 22. One more, and you would have been the Michael Jordan episode, which is number 23. I don't know who's going to be number 23, but as soon as I find out, I'll let you know. Anyway, thank you. Why are you in Texas?
I'm in Texas because I was just at I almost said UMG. I did. I just said it.
Yeah.
MLG Fort Worth.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad they called it Fort Worth because I think 2 years ago they actually called it MLG Dallas.
But it was in Fort Worth.
I know, and I was confused. I thought, why am I in Fort
Everyone
Worth?
was.
Yeah. So it was a great event. We won it. Do you remember?
Yes.
That was the event where the Hype Squad was born.
Was it?
It was. I remember Malin and Ryan had these crazy signs about Formal being their poppy.
Yeah, their poppy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I met them in the Scuff autograph line, and we've been friends ever since. And I remember Jay was sitting with them, and your brother Pedro, was part of that as well. And these kids were just crazy excited, and I don't think they've missed an event since.
I don't think they have either. No, we have the most passionate fan base in esports. Period.
I see that.
Period.
I know that.
And as such, with such magnitude and the amount of people that we have, there are a few bad apples. Those we don't claim those people as our own. But the good ones, the majority of them, the 99.999% that are the good apples of the green wall, we certainly do. Is it weird for you to
Can I say something about that?
Yeah,
I want to interrupt you. I will say I was sitting in the front row on Saturday, and there were some fans. Who were we playing? Who kicked it? Who bumped us out?
Gen G?
Yeah. Some of their fans were cheering, of course. The Hype Squad and the OpTic fans were cheering. And there were a couple people that were OpTic fans that were just getting to the point where it was not what the rest of the Hype Squad approved of. Yeah. And they told him about it. I was really surprised. They're like, hey, you can't say that. Yeah. Hey, that's not what we want to be.
Yep.
And so I know that sometimes OpTic fans get a bad rap, but those kids really want to make sure that the people that are representing them are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good thing about that is that I've always been very, very clear with everybody that if somebody wants to cheer for the other team, please. It makes the place come alive.
Sure.
There was this one UMG event. It was the one where Pat, Sensor, and somebody else kicked our ass. And it was the first time that Crim6 came on. We just talked about it, but
Chicago?
No, it was another one. And Rain, Temper, Adapt. I mean, the FaZe guys. Mm-hmm. The core five of the FaZe guys. They were there, and man, did they have? Oh, Keemstar was there. They had the crowd popping, and I'm talking about there was like a whole section of FaZe fans, and then a whole section of OpTic fans, and it was crazy because it was like a football match in Europe where one crew of people were cheering for one team and the other one, and that was amazing. So I'm always a big fan of the people that have that. And sometimes, and if you're watching this and you're not necessarily a fan of OpTic and you like E-United more than you like OpTic, or if you like Gen G or Envy or whoever, it might be intimidating for you to cheer against like maybe a louder crowd or a bigger crowd. But just know that the green wall wasn't as big as it was today And even then, when we were a tiny little group, we were still as loud as anybody else. So don't feel discouraged.
So I have a story about that too.
Hit me.
Okay. So in 2011, it was Seth's first tournament.
Yep.
MLG Dallas, first tournament. And he had...
What year was this?
2011, right?
Yeah.
2012, there was no COD in the U.S., right? So am I right? He started in 2011 competing on the MLG circuit. Anyway, he was on another team, got kicked off that team, ended up on Leverage. That's a whole nother story in itself. I was supposed to go to the event to watch some of the kids on the team he got kicked off of.
Yeah.
The dad was paying for me to go, the person who owned it. And at the last minute, Seth he got kicked off the team. I know he's told this story, but...
No, I haven't heard it.
It was Obey, and he got kicked off. And I said, you're not going to the tournament. I took his Xbox away from him. My phone kept ringing, and it was this person calling me from Texas, and I didn't answer my phone. And Bobby's mom, Austin Hamley's mom, said, the team that Austin is on really wants Seth to join it, and it's Leverage. And I said, well, I can't go. It's too short notice. I had a ticket booked with Obey, and I'm not going to spend $1,000 to go. So he can go with us, go to Dallas with us. So she called me, and they were playing OpTic. Leverage was playing OpTic. And she held the phone up, and she said, they hate us. Listen to this. And it was, let's go OpTic. And OpTic, I'm like, who is OpTic? She's like, I don't know, but everybody here loves them. And they hate us because we're beating them. So, and they did win. Leverage did win. So way back then, the green wall lived.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sorry.
And events back then weren't as big as they are. And please don't interrupt. I am the king. They call me King Interrupt.
You said don't interrupt.
But no, do interrupt.
I don't want to interrupt. That's last time.
No, I said don't feel bad if you interrupt. Came to mind.
If I don't tell it, I'll forget it. So.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm the same way. My brain is here, there, and if I don't say it, it gets lost with the rest of the genius ideas that I have.
Yeah.
Kidding.
No.
Okay. I always like to start the podcast by asking who you are today. So, who are you today?
I think I'm the same person that, I've been for the last, 25, 26 years. Working mom, raising two boys, most of the time alone, without much assistance, from others. My parents have been real supportive. My brother and his wife are very supportive as well. But, I get up, go to work. When the kids were little, it was a lot of shuffling back and forth to sporting events, making a pot of tuna noodle at the end of the day at 10 o'clock when we got home from a series of baseball games, trying to get up and do it all over again the next day. So just that same person, except now I'm an empty nester, which makes me sad. I hate coming home to a quiet house and not hearing somebody else, Seth playing video games, or Jordan, although he's been gone a lot longer. So yeah, I'm just a working mom day to day, trying to get through like everybody else.
Awesome. So what do you do?
I'm in the insurance business. Yeah.
So was I at one point.
I know. And I have the most admiration for you, for walking away and realizing what you were put here to do. I mean, you've just always amazed me with your vision. I know you tried to explain it to me in 2011. I remember calls with Hastro. I was on a call with you and Hastro and the owner of Leverage, and you were talking about where you wanted this to go. And I remember thinking, they're nuts. What are they talking about? The day where the main stage was, a table with a tablecloth on a stage, with a monitor behind it. I love to post pictures on Twitter of, what the stages are now compared to what they were back in 2011. So, I have the most admiration for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And yes, I had yes, those days were super tough. And the reason that I'm glad that you brought that up is because you were super supportive from the start. It wasn't easy. And even if when you show up to these events and you see these makeshift stations, nothing like you're seeing today, sold out stadiums in some cases. It was just a tiny little room like the one that we're sitting in right now that housed close to 40 teams, so 40 times 40, over plus staff and this, that, and the other. And you would show up to these things and you would see
11 people on a Friday night.
11 people
supporting COD.
Supporting Call of Duty. So your support for Seth has always been admirable to me because it's not easy to, put up your own money to fly him because at the time, maybe they got a salary, but it didn't cover hotel. It didn't cover,
salary.
There was no salary, right?
No salary.
When he was in Leverage, and you weren't there when they beat us, but you did come by the.
I didn't miss an event. I didn't miss an event the rest of the year.
Okay.
I just didn't go to Dallas.
No.
No.
But that was his. Was that his first one? It wasn't, right?
It was his first national. Yeah, I mean, he had gone to game centers, and we would meet Austin and Jersey, and there were some tournaments there that they would usually win, which really surprised me. I know the first time he met Austin, we drove to New York and stayed in New York, and then met them the next morning and followed them to a game center, and he and Austin won, and I think they each won like $600, and they came out with cash.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that was really cool. And I remember, my stepkids at that time saying that they came home one day and said that they had seen Seth's name in a magazine as being one of the best, I guess it was Call of Duty players. And at that point, he was just sitting up in his room playing video games. And I thought they had to be mistaken, So I didn't believe him.
That's so crazy. All right. I don't want to get too ahead on this because I think that whole storyline behind, what made you the mom that you were to him and, his rise to where he was and having that confusion, right? Like coming home and hearing somebody else talk about your son or where they saw him somewhere, that had to be confusing a little bit. If somebody came to me today and said that my 9-year-old was, in a magazine and, she was considered the best ballet dancer or whatever, I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, like it'd be super weird. So
it would be really weird if you never saw her, well, she does dance though.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, no, I guess
right.
that doesn't make sense because I do see it. But, obviously Seth's in this room and you don't know, all you see is a screen and a controller. You don't see the abundance that is the internet behind it. You don't know that he's playing with people across the country. You don't know if he's playing with people across the world.
Right.
So it's different. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. You have 2 kids, Jordan.
Jordan is wonderful, fabulous. People are like, wow,
you're
on Twitter and you never talk about your other son. Well, because, his friends are on Twitter and, I see them every once in a while. But really, for me, my Twitter account's always been about video games.
Yeah.
So, and people that we've met through this journey. So, Jordan will be 31 in July. 7/11 is his birthday. I know, he'll be 31. I know, people kind of surprised that I don't know.
He's so
some
mature.
people think he's younger than Seth, but he's 31.
Well, he's the better looking Abner, so,
that's not fair.
Huh?
That's not fair.
For who?
I would
For
tell
Seth?
you.
I'm sure it isn't.
I will tell you that Jordan, we went to Champs a couple years ago when it was at the Forum in LA, and the number of people that took a double take, I never really thought they looked a whole lot alike.
Yeah.
Seth's obviously red-headed and it sticks out in a crowd because of it, and so many people really thought they were seeing Seth when they looked at Jordan. So I see so much more similarity in them with mannerisms recently, or if, I see Seth on one of your videos or I hear him say something. Jordan has a little more of a filter than Seth does.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's funny. Seth kind of takes it to another level. But Jordan works in DC. He's got an amazing job as a CPA. Went to Pitt, loved it. And
he's an athlete.
He was an athlete, yeah.
Quarterback.
He was quarterback in a really large high school. And, both kids played football from the time they were 5. And Jordan kept it going and started junior and senior year. Would have loved to have played in college, but his high school thought that it would be hard to place a 6-foot quarterback with a cannon for an arm. I'm his mom, so I think that. So he didn't have a lot of looks at major schools. And at the high school he went to, the saying was, you turn the lights on a Friday night and 5,000 people are there. So, to go to a smaller like Division III school and not have that, I don't think it was enticing enough for him. And he went to school, got a great education, had some fun, and has a great job.
Okay. And Seth started playing at a very early age too. He was an athlete all through high school, correct?
No, he stopped probably about 9th grade. Yeah.
What a liar.
Seth. Yeah.
He tells us like he was
he played baseball.
Yeah.
He played that pretty consistently. He'd even their dad's brother coaches baseball, and Seth played on an AAU team for him. I don't know, for 4 or 5 summers he'd go and spend the summer in Georgia. and travel up and down the East Coast with that team. And those kids started together in January, so Seth wouldn't join them until June. So, we had fun, got to play, got to live with, Uncle Ben, and he played football as well. And then one day he just said he wanted to do this. And with his dad being an athlete and athletic family, we just all kind of thought he was nuts. Took him to the doctor.
Yeah.
I'm sure people have heard that story. Some people.
Took him to the doctor for what?
I took him to the doctor because I thought he was depressed. Yeah. I mean, he would
Didn't know
go.
that.
Yeah. He would go. He would go to a gym. I actually go to that gym now, 5 days a week, train really hard, lift weights 2 or 3 days a week, and then, do running and I don't know. They have a name for it. I can't think of it now. The other days, 5 days a week, and his dad would take him every day. And he just got to the point where he said, I'm done. I want to play video games. And I want to play video games.
And that was just like...
So it's like, yeah, there's something wrong with you. You've got to be depressed. I mean, it wasn't a thing then,
Yeah.
And it wasn't, he never tried to show me a video on the internet to say, Oz, like Enrique, he started to post some great videos of the competitions after Seth started. And when kids would tweet me and say, my parents don't get it, I want to be a professional gamer, will you talk to them? It was like, well, no, but you show them this video, try to explain what it is. If Seth would have had the ability to do that, to show me what it meant, not to just say somebody that owns a Subway wants to send me to Dallas and they're going to pay my way in a hotel, I was a little skeptical about that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a lot easier now, right? The amount of
to
content.
explain it.
Yeah, the amount of content on the internet. But I still think that there is a place for somebody like you specifically. I've always said that you would be great to explain to mothers across the world who are experiencing this sort of thing where their kids may seem as though they're depressed because they're spending so much time in a solitary confinement sort of place where they're just playing video games. But again,
talking, raging.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might not hear the best language, if you try to make them stop and take a dinner break. I had a friend tell me last week that she shut her kid down off Fortnite. No, he's 9 or 10. And he got kind of nasty with her and inappropriate. And, she did the right thing and shut him down. And, he was like, I'm in the middle of a game. How do you expect me to stop? I can't come to dinner and, I can't come eat Thanksgiving with you. I can't open Christmas presents. I'm playing video games. It gets a little out of hand.
Well, I want to get to that because we have the same sort of mentality when it comes to balance and parenting, but I don't want to skip ahead because the stories are so cool. So just to catch everybody up, when we're talking about an athlete family, and a lot of you know this already, but just in case the few new ones that are here and don't know the story, thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe. Seth's dad was a professional baseball player. And that's where the whole athlete thing comes from, right? A professional drafted number 1 behind Mark McGuire, right? In front of Mark McGuire. So he went first and then Mark, and that was crazy. That was insane. Were you guys already married by the time that happened?
No, he was first pick in the first round of the June draft out of high school. So no.
Okay. Oh, out of high school. Mm-hmm. So you guys,
he was high
school sweethearts and then got married later? High
school sweethearts and on and off and on and off. But but he also had a scholarship to the University of Georgia. I mean, he was recruited by colleges all over the country. Pretty much senior year, it was just, he was on a college visit nonstop. And so he was a great athlete. So we kind of had to choose, do I want to do football or baseball? And then when the draft, he was picked number 1, it kind of made the decision easier. Yeah. Yeah, which in the end, with the way his career ended, hindsight's always 20/20. But,
of course. I never look back. Yeah. Yeah, I'm always for. So how was it, having kids and having, being married to a professional athlete? Because he got traded, right? He played for the White Sox, go White House. White Sox.
He was drafted by the Mets, traded to the Padres in a pretty big trade deal. And then a lot of the players that were included in that deal went other places while Sean was in the minor leagues. And then he was kind of the last one left. And when he got to the big leagues, he does take a lot of heat for this. because he wasn't a regular everyday player, he would come off the bench to pinch hit and then, go in and play an inning or two in San Diego. And, when you're facing Randy Johnson, and he's throwing 95-mile-an-hour fastballs, and you're facing that off the bench. Yeah. So, he didn't play very regularly, and he took a lot of heat for being basically the last player in such a big trade that the city, the fans didn't feel contributed much. But, honestly, an off-the-bench player, it's tough to do that. So, yeah. So then he, what happened then? He was he traded? I don't know why I'm blanking on this. He went to the Angels right up the highway in California, and he was released from them after the season and then was picked up by the White Sox. And then the next season, he actually had a really good year with the White Sox, played more consistently. He was released by them out of spring training. So Bo Jackson had come on the team the year before and was a reserve outfielder. He was coming back from his hip replacement surgery. I think he had hip replacement. And the next year in February, we went into the city for a Sox Fest convention. And almost every billboard coming in from O'Hare was Bo Jackson laying on his side with his hand on his ear. And it was like, get the hip ticket, the hip season ticket program, or it had some kind of a catchy name. So they were really promoting Bo Jackson and sales. And so we went all through spring training, and then pretty much the last day of spring training, Sean was released and, Bo Jackson stayed. So then he was picked up by this, long answer.
No,
picked up by the Royals at the end of spring training. It's really hard when all the teams are set to find a job last day out of spring training. So we've got a AAA job playing for the Royals, and we were in Omaha, Nebraska. And before a minor league game, he was playing basketball with his teammates and had a really bad knee injury.
Was Barry Bonds a part of that? Who was that? There was somebody super famous there too that was playing basketball with him when he blew his knee.
I don't know.
Anyway, let's not go too into it, because I am going to have him in the podcast sometime in the future, and I want him to tell me the step by step.
It wasn't very glamorous.
Okay,
bottom line.
That's what I was going to say, because a lot of people, I don't know why, I don't know where they get this idea. Well, obviously because they attribute baseball with money, and they think that Seth just had like a silver spoon growing up, and obviously that was not the case.
No, definitely no. I think, back when his dad played baseball, which Seth wasn't born when Sean was playing baseball. I mean, Jordan was a baby and 2 or 3, I think, when his career ended. But I think the minimum then was $68,500 in the big leagues. And if you got sent down to the minor leagues, you had a minor league contract. So you were maybe making $11,000. So, up and down, up and down, up and down, very inconsistent lifestyle. And 68.5 might sound like a lot of money even today. It is. That's a nice salary. But you were living in San Diego, Southern California. You were paying major league dues to the union. You were paying clubhouse dues among a lot of millionaire baseball players. So you're trying to keep up. Clubbies you wanted them to take care of you, so you made sure you paid them, you tipped them. I mean, it was just an expensive lifestyle. So it really was. So, while we were able to save some money, of course, his knee-ending injury wasn't expected, and that was the end of baseball. So I hear and I read on Twitter, and it really is irritating to me because people think that Seth grew up in some type of wealthy environment because of that, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, we separated and divorced after Seth was born, and I don't know if you've seen Seth's Christmas video when he was little, the Thanks Mom, Stormtroopers and everything. Yeah, that's where the kids grew up. It was a really small townhouse. We had 2 bedrooms. They shared a room. We lived there for 12 years. So it was anything that Seth has or what he used to get started as far as equipment, he paid for himself. And when I see people not knowing that and thinking that it just all came to him on a silver spoon, it just grinds my gears. Is that what you guys say?
Yeah. I say it really chaps my ass.
Well, I'm not going to say that.
So
I was remarried, and we had a really pretty house. And I think Seth did a house tour. And yeah, it was a beautiful home. And I think people thought that's where, we lived with his dad, and it just was a big misconception. So yeah, I mean, I went through a divorce unexpectedly, and yeah, we moved to a small place again, and day by day, him doing his grind, me doing mine, and yeah.
Well, look, I think that what he lacked in Silver Spoon growing up, he made up for it. Well, you made up for it in being as supportive as you were, because it's really easy for moms to say no. I mean, no is the easiest word in the dictionary to say, I think. Yeah, no. And I'm guilty of this. I'm really, really fast at no's. I'm the fastest no in the West and the East, and you name it. But it's really easy for parents to say no, because they just being old and being responsible for a young person sort of puts you in this position to where like you're in control, and you are going to do whatever you can as best as you can to make sure that they have the best upbringing possible. So when somebody says, can I have an Xbox? And the answer is no. Don't think that your parents are doing that because they're assholes. Look at where you live, and why don't you, if you're 13, 12, or you're listening to this, or even in high school, ask your parents about the finances of the house. And then if there's room and then you can understand like everything that goes into it, then maybe ask for that. If not, ask for permission to get a job so you can get the Xbox or whatever it is that you do. A lot of kids, and I don't know if it's across generations, but a lot of kids nowadays are super self-entitled. They want the Yeezys, and it's just not the case. Like if they took the time to ask the parents like about the finances, the parents should do a little bit more of a better job of telling them what's up, right? Like not talking about money in my family growing up like was such a detriment in later in life, because if I'd have known, I think that I would have taken it a lot easier on my dad and not getting me a car when I was in high school just because I wanted to go on a fishing trip somewhere, or just I don't know. I think I would have been a much better son if I understood that. So anyway, back to the support that you did. So let's fast forward a little bit. Seth is already won a championship, and now you're about to start going to every single, because
I did.
Out of 100 games or 100 tournaments that Seth has gone to, you have gone to 99 of them, right? There's only been a couple that you've missed. How many do you think you've missed in his entire career?
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day and trying to remember bits and pieces, and it's a shame I can't remember more than I do. Mm-hmm. It's expensive to go on these trips. I see a lot of the same people, event after event after event, the airfare, the hotels. I mean, I've talked to parents who have driven 12, 14, 16 miles, with their kids to get here. It's not an inexpensive weekend. So I haven't gone to any European tournaments. Somebody asked me online the other day, hey, are you coming to London? And
Are you going to London?
No.
Would you go if it was an all expense trip paid?
Probably not.
No?
No.
Okay, I think you guys don't know this about Kristen, but she's super, like, not only humble, but she's like, I don't want to bother anyone.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to convince you to go. You don't have to pay out of pocket. I'm gonna do something radical here, okay?
No, then
I'm gonna make your son pay for your trip. You're coming to London. That's a thing. Jude and I are gonna be there too, so we can all hang out.
Yeah.
Jude doesn't drink, but we do, so she can chaperone.
Yeah, I have work, so
yeah, it's a vacation.
Yeah,
so good. You got time off.
This is a vacation.
This is work. You're also employed by your son.
I'm not. No. Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I'm not employed by my son.
Just because you don't get paid.
I do not get paid.
I know.
I do not take a dime.
Yeah, well, I'm not employed by Seth either, and look what I do.
I know. But I think.
Did you know that he wanted to take my computer to?
I saw that. Yeah.
He told me send my computer to.
I know, and you sent it, and he didn't use it.
Yeah.
And he wanted to take the keyboard, and you said you're not taking that keyboard, and he's like, yes, I am. I don't know.
He took it.
I don't know why you take that from him.
What am I gonna do? Say no to my favorite son?
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, but no, I don't think a lot of people know that Seth. He is a corporation. Mm-hmm. We started that a couple of years ago. The really funny thing is, I am either the CFO, the treasurer, the controller. Mm-hmm. Call me what you want, but he started having a decent amount of money coming in
because of his silver spoon.
No, because of you. Because
no,
really,
no, because of him.
No, because of your. of your vision. Thank you. Oh, is that what you call vision?
No, sort of. It's a long story.
When you moved everyone into the first to 60/50 Wrestle Drive, the content started flowing, and I definitely saw more, money coming in. He has a couple ways he makes money. I heard you talking about that in a video the other day. He doesn't just have one job; he has three. Yeah, and he does, and that's kind of nice because he gets paid a couple times a month. I have one employer; he's got a number of different ways that he gets paid. So, just in order to help him with that, I started to, manage the bank accounts, financial planners, that type of thing, which was good at the time. But you know what it's done to Seth? It's made him, a little helpless when it comes to that stuff. He would rather not deal with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are like that. If I didn't have Jude in my life, I don't know where fair. I would be.
That's fair.
It is better for him to do what it is to bring in.
And that's what he said. We just talked about this yesterday. I play video games, and he does need to. He said, I would like to understand. And I said, but this is what I'm doing right now for your taxes. Itemizing credit card bills. I'm taking, your money by month. This money's taxed. That money's not taxed. Working with the accountant, working with the plan. And he said, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
We have to do that.
Some people have to do that, yes. When you're starting off, you definitely have to do that. And one of the things, and now the comment about the silver spoon, that was obviously a joke, because I too get upset when they just assume that, that he grew up a certain way, right? Not knowing. And when they see him, now, a lot of people may not know this about Seth, but if you ask Seth's closest friends in the industry, you'll know that Seth is very, very smart with his money. And the reason he's very smart with his money is because of you. And it's super smart because I won't go too deep into it, but let's just say he doesn't pay himself as much money as he makes, if that makes any sense to a lot of people. It won't, but he doesn't, which is good, and he owes a lot of that to you. And I don't know, a lot of people don't have that sort of backing, and when I say backing, I say somebody supporting them from that sort of stance, because it would be really easy for him to just get all this money and not realize that some of this needs to be allocated for taxes, and then he just goes out and buys the Lamborghini. I mean,
we've all talked about that.
Yeah, who?
You, me, him, different cars throughout the years that have caught his eye, and I love the car he settled on. And he has said a couple of times the last couple of weeks, I can't see myself getting another car. This car's great. I don't need anything other than this. He bought it secondhand, off Will. Big timer. Yeah. And it's a really cool car. So.
He was a millionaire driving a Ford Fusion for how long? A long time.
He just sold that last year. Yeah. Just sold it last year.
Which is good, because a lot of people, get the money and immediately just buy everything.
Well, we talked about that.
I'll tell you one thing. If I wasn't married with a kid and the dogs, I think that I would be a little bit more wild with my part.
I doubt that, but you know what I think? I think he saw me as a single mom. Really during before he was a teenager. Before he started gaming, which I would say really picked up probably when he was 13. That first major tournament was 14. He probably had some competitions when he was 14. Did I say 15, 14? Whatever.
I don't know.
But I sold a lot on eBay. And if he or Jordan wanted something new, it was like, okay, what do you want to sell? What do you want to get rid of? So, you want a new PlayStation? Okay, well, we're going to sell your old system. What else do you want to pony up? You want a new game? Okay, we'll sell 5 of your old ones. So, the people at the post office got to know me really well because, they wanted something new and we'd find something old to sell. Yeah. And that's totally amazing. A true story, not an exaggeration. So I think maybe, Jordan's really good with money too. So I hope that has something to do with it.
No, it has everything to do with it. Trust me, it has everything to do with it, because anyway, let's move on from the money part, because the money part is important because you did a really, really good job in him being able to, because again, it's really easy for YouTubers and young entrepreneurs and Twitch streamers to just not have this this sort of knowledge about, maybe now it's easier, but back in the day when all this windfall of money was coming in, people were just like throwing money out the window because they saw it as quickly as they came in. Well, I'm gonna buy this because I'll just make a video and it'll pay for it, right? Not taking into account the
I don't think he never looked at it that way. Oh, I'm going to make a video and pay for something. Never thought about it that way.
No.
All
right. So I remember, when was it? When was your first event?
My first event with OpTic or just with
just
him?
with him?
Well, it would have been the second event in 2011. So I don't know. There was, Ohio, Columbus was in the circuit at that point before MLG bought or made the studio they have now.
Okay.
We'd go to the Columbus Convention Center and have events, and those were always a lot of fun. There was an event in Raleigh, Anaheim, maybe Orlando that year. So I don't remember which one was next, but I have all of the tags, and I think it's on my Instagram. I have all of the tags, and I posted this probably years ago and said, this is the first year, which city's missing? And it was Dallas. So all the cities from 2011 are out there somewhere. I just can't remember which one was second.
That's so awesome. Was it difficult for you to? I mean, I guess not, since your son played a lot of sports. But was it difficult to sort of experience the green wall as an outsider of the green wall, because your son didn't join OpTic until
we didn't understand. Go ahead until the next year.
Please.
Until the next year, we didn't know what OpTic was. We didn't know what we didn't know. Yeah,
no, it was just you and Bobby Hamley's mom, right?
Right, just coasting along and going to events, taking it all in. Yeah.
Was it what is seeing it from your perspective, right? Fresh pair of eyes. This is brand new. Being a sport, coming from a sports family per se, seeing competition happen in a digital form where people are sitting down and watching other people play video games. Was that, how did that translate to somebody like you, right? Yeah. Because it's still weird to me.
Yeah. Well, the one thing it's done is give us an opportunity to continue watching competition, in our family. My parents have always been really strong supporters of both boys and never missed a football game, didn't miss a baseball game. And, we really all thought when Seth was done with high school, that was going to be it. So, they were texting me on Saturday during the matches. They are always watching. So, the competition, even though it's not with a traditional ball, baseball, basketball, football, golf ball, ping pong ball, whatever, it's still fierce competition. And it's given us a thrill to be able to continue to watch it. People don't understand why people want to watch others play video games. And, I have a couple videos when I try to explain it to people, I'll pull it out and show them and the crowd and the hype and the shoutcasters, the commentators. When I say people commentate over the game, they look at me like, really? How does that work?
Yeah.
So, yeah. There are so many people that still don't know about
currently
esports.
In your life today, when you tell people, how do you explain, well, this is going to be a two-part question. How do you explain to people, one, your son plays video games, but two, your son is like the player?
Yeah.
Do you just tell us that he just plays video games and then explain that? Or do you tell him he's like, oh, no, he is the player?
Yeah. There are a lot of the players today. So, he, I think, has done it a little differently than a lot of other players because he started to work on his brand, I think, before he even knew there was such a thing. So that helped his Twitch channel, his YouTube channel, and have him have the ability to have these other forms of income, if you will, or ways to entertain. I sometimes say, he's a video game player and he participates in games all over the world, but I'll also say, he's kind of an online celebrity. At night when your kids are upstairs in their room, they're either probably playing a video game or watching someone play a video game. And they're like, really? They don't know that that's what they're up there doing. So it's funny because on the news at 7:00 when the news is over at home, it used to say, do you know where your children are? And now it says, it's 7:00 break. Do you know who your children are talking to online?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of the way we've evolved. And I remember you saying, or somebody saying, just being in conversations back in the day, kids are not going to watch TV. They are going to be on their computers on the internet. And I was like, really? And it's true. I mean, kids aren't watching Modern Family with their parents in the family room. Unfortunately, they're disconnected from the family, and they're doing what all kids do. They're on their phone, they're on their computer, communicating some way like that, or being entertained in a different way than we were growing up.
Yeah. When we first moved to the house in 2013, I was trying to explain to a sponsor that it at some point or another in the future, there's going to be a situation where we're the ones that are commentating a fight. That we're the ones that are going to be coming, because we wanted to do like a weekly night, like movie night or a sports watching night, and we wanted to be the ones that commentated, because obviously as good as Marv Albert is, he's not going to be there forever, and kids nowadays would rather hear somebody like Ninja commentate on a football game who he's passionate about, because he likes the Lions and all that, or somebody who's going to want to watch Scumpy talk about whatever sports he's interested in at that point. The Sidemen, I would rather watch the Sidemen commentate a soccer match than somebody else that I don't know. So we're like, I think almost in that position to where at some point or another there's going to be opportunities that come to streamers and content creators and there's they're going to make them the commentators. They're going to be the ones that I'd rather watch a game where I hear somebody familiar tell me what is going on in the game and whether agree or disagree and how the conversation's going. But I remember in 2013, I was telling this to a sponsor. I'm like, we're going to be talking about this. And like, well, what about the commentators? I'm like, don't worry about the commentators. We're going to be the commentators. And they're like, nah, yeah, that's not going to work. But we're getting to that place in this day and age where that is going to be that. Who are they watching? What are your sons watching? That's also a very important thing. And that goes down to parenting and the balance that we were talking about earlier. A lot of people asked me when we went, it's like, my son plays too much. He doesn't go outside ever. I don't know how to say this. I do say it nicely, but I'm like, well, it's bad parenting. And I've said bad parenting 3 times in my life when a parent was being a little bit too mean or too egregious in a sense, right? They were I felt as though they were almost blaming me and OpTic for their kids not going outside. And they're like, yeah, well, I'd rather have my kid go outside. Well, it's bad parenting. You're the one that you pay the bills. Your son has no choice in what it is that he even eats at home. You buy the food. So what makes this one activity different than anything else? Another thing that I tell him is like, if your son was really good at playing the piano, would you say you're playing too much piano?
No, that's a good point.
No, you understand it. If your son's spending too much time in the garage, in front of the easel, just painting away or sculpting away something, are you going to stop him? No, it's a different activity.
I was at the store the other day, and it had just snowed back in Pennsylvania. And I think I overheard a conversation, and some kid's Xbox or PlayStation must have been broken. And I heard the parent saying to another parent or grandparent, well, maybe now they'll go outside and play and be normal. So I'll go outside and play in the cold snow and, be normal.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's something you wouldn't have heard, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago. We did go outside and play in the snow, but I don't know that not wanting to do that makes you abnormal.
Yeah. As you were saying that, I try to picture myself in my teenage years, and as much fun as I had outside, I played basketball every single day, twice a day, 3 times a day. And if video games were involved, like way back when, I wouldn't have known how to balance, and I would have needed parental help in knowing how to balance my outside activity to that. It's just weird, but it is one of those like massive misconceptions that will go away very soon. I want to talk about that as soon as I give a shout out to the sponsors for this episode. As always, thank you very much for choosing us to spread the word, okay? Because everybody out there, okay, specifically the people that watch this, have had people that they watch get hacked, okay? And you guys have to admit it. You guys think that only cybercrime happens to people like us, streamers, content creators, and just, famous people, but it doesn't. It happens to every single person out there that has logged into an unsecured Wi-Fi network at the airport or at the library or wherever it is, okay? But that's how your data gets stolen by the hackers. All your passwords, your credit card details, all of that. When you leave your internet connection unencrypted, you might as well be writing your passwords and credit card numbers on a huge billboard for the rest of the world to see. That's why me and somebody else and somebody else and somebody else across the entire industry use VPNs, okay? But right now, we're talking about ExpressVPN, which is the one that we're currently using here at the Hecz quarters, because, maybe sometimes going to the police station and telling them who you are and what you do won't necessarily stop all the bad stuff that happens when people get a hold of your IP address. ExpressVPN secures and anonymizes your internet browsing by encrypting your data and hiding your public IP address. ExpressVPN has the easy-to-use applications that run seamlessly in the background of your computer, phone, and tablet. Turning on your ExpressVPN protection only takes one click. Using ExpressVPN can safely allow you to surf public Wi-Fi without being snooped around or stolen. I remember Mixwell once coming back from Spain got his Twitter stolen by logging into the unsecured network that was at the airport. You guys remember that one time? That's what happened. Had he used ExpressVPN, he would have been okay in that scenario. ExpressVPN is rated the #1 VPN service by TechRadar and comes with a 30-day money-back guaranteed. Protect your online activity today and find out how you can get 3 months free at expressvpn.com/Hecz with the 3. That is expressvpn.com/H3CZ for 3 months free with a 1-year package. Visit expressvpn.com/Hecz to learn more. Remember, the Hecz is with the 3. All right, and it's obviously listed in the description down below. This next sponsor I'm super excited about is Candid Co. And what they do is it makes it not only affordable, but very, very quickly for you to straighten and whiten your teeth. I don't have the greatest smile, which is why I'm excited about this sponsor. I've gone down the line in the process of figuring out whether braces was a thing for me or not. It isn't. The wire braces, the long-term care, 6+ months, I think it is, to get sometimes longer. For me, it wouldn't be that much. They're not that jacked, but, bad enough to where I've gone through the process of looking at it. Anyway, if you want straighter and brighter teeth in an average of 6 months and cost 65% less than braces, they were super expensive. I don't even want to get started. Everything is delivered to your home. White glove customer service in addition to email and phone support. Candid will set up a video call with you to answer any questions you have and to walk you through the molding process. Pretty much, you give you a paste, you put it on the thing, you bite into it, it sort of molds your teeth, and then you send it in, and then they create the plan that you need to do, the straightening of your teeth. Okay, Candid only uses orthodontists, so you don't have to, this is legit. This is one of those things where you hope that it is. No, this is legitimate, and Candid makes clear aligners that are sent directly to your home and are customized specifically for you to straighten your teeth. The aligners fix crooked teeth, crowding, protrusion, and gaps. That's what I have. The first step is to purchase their modeling kit, which will be sent to your home so you can take the impressions of your teeth. It's the thing that I told you about. You bite into it. The modeling kit retails at around $95. Candid's network of orthodontists reviews your specific case and provides you with a 3D preview of what your treatment will look like. Having real orthodontists is the main reason that you will love Candid. Other companies use dental professionals, whatever that means, but this is, like I said earlier, legit. It is completely up to you if you want to move forward with your clear aligner treatment plan. You can also talk to a real person at any time if you have questions. Candid's treatment, listen to this part. Candid's treatment time is 6 months, okay? On average, 6 months, and will literally save you thousands of dollars compared to the other guys. No need to talk about them, okay? So just remember, you're always one step away from getting straighter, whiter teeth. Take advantage of Candid's risk-free molding kit, guaranteed. Plus, when you use my link, candidco.com/eavesdrop, you'll receive 25% on your molding kit. That's candid.com/eavesdrop to get 25% off the price of your molding kit. candidco.com/eavesdrop. Okay, just remember, that's my dedicated link. You'll get 25% off of your molding kit. And again, you don't have to commit to anything, but give it a shot. Maybe you'll like what you see. All right, this next sponsor is a returning sponsor, so I'm super thankful. Squarespace.com, and we are currently working on our website. We haven't decided whether or not we're going to make the website for the Hecz quarters or Hecz.com. Still deciding on what it is, since I do so much. I don't know which one to pick. But Squarespace.com makes it super easy for you to launch your own website. It takes care of all your domains, websites, online stores, marketing tools. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence and run your business. Because I'm not just a businessman, I'm a businessman. Say more, sell more, stand out in any inbox with Squarespace email campaigns. Our all-in-one platform makes it easy to unify your brand voice from your homepage to your emails. Consistent content from website to email, powerful editing tools to make it your own, customizable layouts for any message, mobile editing so you can send at any time, anywhere. You can literally be on a bus on your way to school if you're a young entrepreneur and then fix any problem on the spot or promote something, maybe a new idea that just popped up. If you have your blog, if you have any tips and tricks that you want to do, this is the place to be. These are the things that you can do with Squarespace. Just in case you don't know, you create the beautiful website by turning your cool idea into a new website, showcase your work, blog, or publish content, sell products and services of all kinds, promote your physical or online business, announce an upcoming event or special project. One of the main reasons that I'm starting the website is because when I invite people to come out to the Hecz quarters, I'm going to need something like this. And again, we're not done yet, but we will be soon. Beautiful templates created by world-class designers, powerful e-commerce functionality lets you sell anything online, the ability to customize look and feel, settings, products, and more with just a few clicks. Everything optimized for your mobile right out of the box. A new way to buy domains and choose over 200 extensions. That's your .com, your .gg, your .tv, like you name it, they have it. But yeah, built-in search engine optimization, free and secure hosting, nothing to patch or upgrade ever, 24/7 award-winning customer service. And they give you a variety of options, right? If you're an architect, if you're art galleries, fine artists, graphic designers, clothing designers, furniture, real estate brokers, gamers, consultants, healthcare, or lawyers. I mean, you need a website. I mean, you're living in 2019, okay? So you need this. Head over to squarespace.com/Hecz for a free trial when you're ready to launch. Use the offer code Hecz with the 3, H3CC, to save 10% of your first purchase of a website or domain. Again, that is squarespace.com/H3CZ for 10% off on your first purchase of a domain or a website. All right. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you guys very much to continue to support the Eavesdrop the way that you guys have. So again, thank you so much for the sponsorship. We appreciate you. Sponsorships nowadays are very difficult, specifically in Call of Duty and in Counter-Strike or any shooter game. Now, this relates to the conversation we're talking about parents, because it's the same thing that we're experiencing in the old mentality and inability to advance or to understand a new world is always going to be something that sets video games back. Question number one for you: when Seth started playing video games, did you see him become a little bit more aggressive or violent?
No.
Okay, right.
Absolutely no.
Obviously, right. Obvious.
Yeah, no. Definitely no.
Those are one of the things, right? Mm-hmm. That people still to this day are like video game violence. Sure. It just makes no sense, right? No. They're like, sometimes they're like, well, the person that caused this, the person that got into a fight or caused this brawl plays Call of Duty. Mm-hmm. Well, why don't we blame it on the coffee that he drank earlier that day? Why don't we blame it on the food that he had that day? Because guess what? He is just one of a million people that bought that game the same way that he's one of the million people that bought the coffee, one of the same million. Like, why attribute that to that? What about the movie, right? What about this whole misconception? You know what that is too? Bad parenting. If you don't discipline your kids, more often than not, they're going to grow up to be assholes. These are just facts of life. If my dad wasn't as strict as he was with me, with the way that I am, okay, I would not be a good kid. Luckily, I was able to be sneaky enough to be able to spray paint, whatever it is that I was spray painting at the time. I just love art, and that's the art that I chose, or that chose me. Luckily, I was able to be that. But I remember my dad at one point telling me, he's like, if I ever see you sagging your pants like one of those fucking gangbangers, I'm going to beat your ass. Mm. And I remember saying, like, it's fashion, Pop, right?
It's generation gap, which I feel like I'm experiencing now.
Yeah.
We were on vacation and the beach was full of girls, teenage girls, picture after picture after pose after pose. And yeah, everybody likes to take a couple selfies now and then, but it's just, I'm thinking, wow, is this me in the generation gap,
Yeah, I don't think it's a generational gap as much as I'm glad that social media wasn't around when I was in high school. Yeah. I would have been one of those unfortunate people that, later on become like, oh, look what you did back when you were a little kid. Anyway, the way that I got around the whole sagging of the pants with my dad was, I pretty much told him, like, what if my grandma told you couldn't wear those fucking ugly bell bottoms that you were wearing back when you wore them, Pop? Okay, what if she said that you were a hippie and that you smoked drugs? And he's like, well, that wouldn't have been true. I'm like, exactly. I'm not a gambler. This is fashion. So let's move on. This was months later. Anyway, so the problem with advertisement right now is that a lot of, I don't want to call them old, so we'll call them gray-haired old people. I'm kidding. We have these gray-haired executives in these positions of these really high, and they should because they've been working there for a long time, and then these high positions of companies that advertise for whatever. Now they know Bob, who works at the newspaper, and at the end of every year, Bob from the newspaper, who he spends a lot of money in advertising with, sends him a bottle of whiskey and a picture from his family. So, executive number one in advertising knows that Bob is going to send him a whiskey bottle. That's all he knows. They know each other. So all this money is going to go to the newspaper. All the money is going to go to the billboards. All this money is going to go to traditional television. And these same people are the same people that read the newspaper that said, video games cause violence. Therefore, this advertising executive from this one particular industry or whatever is not going to advertise in Call of Duty or in that because of that. So the question to wrap it up, because I know I went on completely left. As a single mom, having one kid be a super athlete, right? And then having another kid who is another super athlete, but choosing to play video games. How do you, and the generational gap that you talk about, how were you able to say, you know what, we're living in a different world now? How did you allow Seth to just say, how do you support Seth and say, yes, I'm okay with you playing video games instead of working out or playing baseball and football and everything that we know is natural for somebody like you? Yeah,
that's a good question. First of all, he was very passionate about it. He was very driven. He was very motivated. He got good grades. He probably stayed up too late playing, which was probably bad parenting. But I didn't give him a lot of flack about it because he did have a social life. He did have friends. He got good grades, like I said, and he somehow made it work where he wasn't late for school. He, like I said, got good grades. He'd come home, take a nap, hop online, let's call it work, because it really was work. Although some parents might not have looked at it that way. We were talking with some of his friends that are here in high school yesterday, and they were saying, oh yeah, I used to skip school and used to do this. And I'm like, you guys used to do what? And they're like, yeah, Seth did. I'm like, Seth didn't, because, when Seth was a junior and a senior in high school, he was participating in events. He was traveling literally around the world. The year that Apex, and that whole story, which we're not going to talk about because that's a whole nother story, when they left OpTic and went to Apex so they could travel to Europe in 2012, he didn't have any extra days to miss school. I mean, he was going to school when he was really sick because he just didn't have any spare days. I mean, our school district was very strict about the number of days you could miss in a year. And, there again, I call it working. He was traveling around the country working, making money. And did I need him to make that money to help pay the family bills? No. Mm-hmm. But he was just very passionate about it. And I was seeing him be successful at it, not knowing where it was headed. I get a lot of parents that ask me questions about their kids and video games and how can I help them to become a pro? It's like, the dad that wants to see their son become a Major League Baseball player or an NFL professional player. And now these parents are talking about their kids as schools have scholarships for gaming. What can I do to help? And it's like kind of the opposite. What can I do to help them get better? Which is really a change. And, I don't think every kid's cut out to be a professional player. Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, what do you tell? I mean, yeah.
So I tell them.
I'm that person.
Yeah. So I tell them, well, look, so look at, let's say, Fwiz. Look at Oz. So Fwiz was a coach, went to college, worked for Machinima.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what he does now, but I know he has a really great job with either Google or YouTube. Yeah. So, I think there are so many different industries that spawn off of gaming. Yeah. You can be a photographer. You can be a commentator. You can build the games. You can work for a controller company. You can work for a headset company. I mean, there are so many industries related to gaming that if the whole professional scene isn't going to happen, which is likely the case. I mean, Seth got in 8-9 years ago before it was as large as it was. While it was still difficult, he just seemed to meet the right people online and do well when it counted. It's much larger now, and if he were trying to break in now, would he have been as successful? I don't know. So, if your child's playing a lot of games and they're just hell bent on competing and being a pro, okay, there's a lot of different ways they can compete online or at events in their town or go to an event like this where they have, amateur tournaments on the side. But there might be something else in the industry that they can do to participate if that's what they really love.
Yeah. You tell them that?
I do tell them that. Yeah, definitely. I have that conversation because I've actually seen it happen with the two people I mentioned, and there are so many other people. I mean, people that run the stages, people that build the stages. Adam, with MLG. So that's what I tell them.
I mean, I'm the prime example of that. I was never going to be good enough to do that, and I just chose a different path. And now more than ever, the amount of jobs that you can get in this industry is amazing. And if your son, daughter want to be involved, just imagine if somebody, if you at their age had the opportunity to, and I don't know how old who I'm talking to is, but imagine being young and being like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to be a basketball player in this new league called the NBA, but maybe I could be an admin, And then think about the projection that it is now. It's like, oh shit, you work for the NBA. That's cool. Mm-hmm. And obviously you get paid because it's the NBA. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when MLG was on Park Avenue in New York, we'd go to Manhattan for the day at Christmas or whatever and pop in there, to see the works. And remember, there were a lot of people working there that weren't pro gamers. So, there's a whole industry of people that support it. On LinkedIn, when I see a post by somebody that I know, and then I look at the people that liked or commented on it and look at their titles, oh my goodness, I used to know a lot of those people and now it's grown so much. You probably know a lot of those people, but yeah, there are so many different companies that support electronic sports. I can't keep up.
Coming from a sports family, as we discussed previously, what do you think of the word esports? Does it bother you that it's esports? Is video game competitions a sport?
Yeah, that's debated a lot. Yeah. At the end of a day, especially, if Seth's working a 10, 12-hour day, he's exhausted. At the end of a day of a competition, say they're in loser's bracket and they're not sitting around waiting to play the loser. It's game after game, it's stress after stress, full event. And the amount of tenacity it takes to hang with it, to stay, to want to continue, to keep your skills sharp, your mind sharp, your reflexes sharp, to be in a sitting position. I'm not comparing it to a race car driver, but just because you're not up running around, I don't think that you can not call it a sport because, like I said, it's not a traditional sport. Chess, poker, I mean, there are a lot of ways to compete. I know not just whether or not is it a sport, are they athletes, comes into play. And there's motocross. And okay, just because it's not dangerous, you're not risking your life, does that mean it's not a sport and you're not an athlete? So seeing what I've seen, I think it does definitely fall into that category. I think there was a couple years ago, there was a skier. I don't know if she was an Olympic skier.
The X Games girl. Okay,
but she really got into the debate on Twitter. And I don't know where it ended, but, I think that more traditional athletes, gosh, I don't want to pigeonhole it, but might have more of a debate than somebody that's not an athlete themselves, and they debate it.
Yeah. Look, everybody plays video games, period. And I think it's a lot more culturally accepted now. because of everything that happened with Ninja last year, and then the year before that, and the year before that with Nate Shot, and way back then. It's more accepted now. And the person you're talking about, I don't know her name. I won't say her name, but it was during X Games, and she's like, I've risked my life, to get this medal, and you're gonna give it to video game players. Like,
what are they doing
understand.
here?
Yeah. Look, when the time came around to vote who the favorite X Games athletes were, guess what? The top 10 minus 1 were all Call of Duty players. The top 4 happened to be an OpTic. Yes, brag. All right. But yeah, it's just one of those things where, again, is the generational gap that soon enough, these old men who I was talking about that are in charge of advertising, they're going to go away, and then the smart, hip dude is going to come in and is going to do better for that company, because he's no longer going to be selling advertising on billboards that nobody looks at. If I'm in a stop sign, guess what I'm looking at? I'm not looking up at the billboards. I'm looking at my phone. Anyway,
let's talk about like the ad that Jack and Seth just did recently.
Yeah, Debunking.
I think which when you told me that, I was amazed. I thought it was somebody's apartment. I mean, you guys did an awesome job. I've probably watched that, 20 plus times. But if you look at the number of views that got, I think last time I looked, it was approaching right under 900,000. And then if you look at some of the other ads or other types of sports that they used to advertise the brand, those views didn't come close.
Right.
So, I see more mainstream advertisers, coming into the scene, and I know that you're a part of that, and I don't know how you get these people's attention to make them see, but if you can't see the number of views that an ad like that gets, because of the generation that's using that product and on the internet that see it, as opposed to running commercials on TV, I mean, it just seems like they go hand in hand. Yeah.
Look, it's the same thing that's always happened. You have... how long has it? TiVo. When did TiVo come out? The second that TiVo came out and people were able to fast forward through commercials, they should have seen it coming, right? The other thing is like, even nowadays on YouTube, there's a lot of cool people who watch the entire ad, thank you, and there's a lot of people that just skip right through. But these are some things that where somebody like me gets to actually talk and deliver a message, right? You don't necessarily have to run a full commercial and pay whatever, because more often than not people are going to skip it. But if it's Seth that's telling you why he uses a Scump controller, then that carries a lot of weight, specifically with the customers that they're trying to reach.
Can I ask you a question?
Please. Is she going to be the first one that's ever asked me a question on the podcast?
I know. I was thinking of that. Oh, yeah. Wait, Matt, he's not allowed to talk. Good job. No. He didn't talk. I'm not supposed to look at him either.
Yeah, he doesn't exist.
He doesn't. Did he answer?
Yeah, you are the first person that's asked me a question.
Okay. Well, I don't want to be that forward, but I don't think I know. I remember when I first noticed you, because Seth brought you to my attention. We were walking on a plane. I think it was after MLG Anaheim, that first year when he was on Leverage. We walked past you. I'm not going to say you were in first class, because you probably weren't. I think you were towards the front of the plane in the regular seats. And economy? No, you weren't. You were in first class. You think you were?
I'm a bougie guy.
Okay, well.
No, I'm kidding. I don't. Maybe. Who knows?
Anyway, Seth said, "Do you know who that was? Who said hi to me?" No, I don't. And he said that it was, Hector Rodriguez. He owns OpTic. And I was like, again, still trying to figure out the OpTic thing back then. And I was like, okay. He was really impressed. Me, not so much. So, throughout the year, then, of course, found out who you were, and, definitely was more in awe of that. But when did you notice Seth and think that he maybe had what it took to be on OpTic? I see so many tweets. I'm going to join OpTic. I want to join. How do I get on OpTic? It's not that easy.
No.
So when did you notice Seth and think that there might be an opportunity for him?
One, I have this thing about redheads. Notice that I didn't say I have a thing for redheads. Okay, I have this thing about redheads. I don't know, at the time, what was that famous skateboarder? Shaun White.
Don't answer.
Right? Shaun White? Yeah, Shaun White. And I don't know what it was, but I was like, man, Shaun White. I'm like, man, if that little kid reminds me of Shaun White when he beat us at the event that you weren't at. And he came by us and he took a picture with Diesel, because Diesel has like a reddish hair, and I took a picture of the two redheads, and then I kept an eye on him, and I'm like, oh, that kid's super good. I'm like, damn, he won a championship. I'm like, holy shit, it's the first time he's been to an MLG event. That's crazy. And then our players, I let the players make that decision always. I intervene when I need to, but scouting goes to the players at all times. So yeah, it wasn't up to me, but I noticed him at that event when he won. He was just so good. You know, he was good. What made me notice him when he joined OpTic was how funny he was and how much he kept making like all of us laugh with the shit that he was saying. From the boyos to his intro to calling people weenies, you know, the sort of insults that you don't hear from, you know, they're not insults. They're like, you hear these sort of insults from like 7th graders or like 7-year-olds. Sorry, not even 7th graders, just like 7-year-olds. So I'm like, I wonder why he's not swearing. I'm like, he obviously comes from a good family or whatever. But he was like funny with the thing. So from a content standpoint, I noticed him immediately that he was going to be like good on YouTube. I don't know. So I immediately, I knew that one, if he played on my team, that'd be awesome because he's really good and he's a redhead. So, you know, that stands out and that's good for branding, in my opinion. Not that any other color hair doesn't. Okay, I'm just saying, you know, that for me, that's what it was. And then when I heard him talk and make jokes and have everybody laughing, I was just like, oh, this dude's funny. I mean, even to this day, you know, like everything that he says or does is like hilarious to me.
Funny.
Yeah. So I like to keep him around.
Well, good. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, he's welcome. But yeah, no, I like to be around him. So immediately, I think like right away. Yeah, right away I knew.
Yeah, I mean, I think he posted something the other day that he was the thumbnail in 3 videos.
Yeah,
you know, it was yours, Nade's, and Hitches.
Yeah,
and I bought an actually Seth bought me for Christmas a newer
iMac.
No. Apple TV.
Oh, Apple TV.
Blanket, yeah. And so now I'm watching more YouTube and Twitch streams on my TV, which is so nice than, you know, having to sit and hold my phone. And I'm watching more videos because in the evening I'll sit down and put one on and then it'll run into the next one. But yeah, I mean, there's, you know, the comments, people will be like, oh, I see Seth in the thumbnail, you know, I click like, or I watch. And I don't know what
it's super offensive to people like me. You know, it's like, I appreciate it.
I don't know why you're not at 1 million. I'm offended by that because I don't know why you're just stagnating where you are.
Took 2 years off to build a business. It wasn't consistent.
Yeah, but your vlogs you're just
they're
fire.
amazing.
You're
I know.
fire.
Thanks
they're
to
awesome.
Maddie.
Who's not here.
Who's not here.
But anyway, he is a funny kid. He's always been funny.
Yeah. And he brings in the clicks.
He brings in those types of clicks. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah. I don't mistakenly put him on the thumbnails, right? Like it's clickbait, right? And the thing is like he doesn't do that sort of content, which sucks. We were actually in here talking about it. I'm like, man, you should just have somebody follow you around.
Yeah.
It literally, like, you would give so much more to your fans if they were able to.
Agreed.
If you were able to vlog.
I'd watch it. I'd like to see it because I miss him.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing, right? Like it's good to be able to have these memories like stored away somewhere. You know, they like. Plug, thanks to Seagate, I am able to store all of my content in one place, and then being able to transfer that to another one. Like Seagate is a company that makes the best external hard drives. If you don't know what that is, memory sticks and stuff. Anyway, my daughter gets to show, or I get to show my grandkids. You know, if God willing gives us some, that you know my life. You know, a lot of people get to see what it was like. Bringing OpTic to what it was. They get to see videos from the 60-50 days. You know, some of them, not all of them. But yeah. If you're gonna ask, I want you to know that Seth was not smoking marijuana way back when, or drinking. I forbade it. It was not one of those things.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, nothing that definitely did not go on in my house.
Yeah.
You know,
let me ask you about that without interrupting.
It's pretty strict.
Yeah. Let me interrupt you. Okay.
I've interrupted you. So
how old was Seth when he moved how old was he when he was out of high school? Because out of high school, he said, I'm not going to college. I'm going to 60-50 Russell Drive.
Yeah, but he was going to college. You know, I remember having conversations with you like, are you doing this or you're not? Are you doing this or you're not? And I think you were trying to pull it together, and Jude was looking for a house, and, you know, she's always been involved. So shout out to the one and only Judith.
Yeah. Did a good job with the decorating of the house?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a whole nother half hour. But yes, Seth's new house, you know, it was there for probably 15 minutes before getting here. And it's beautiful. I mean, she should really consider that a career, you know, if she wants one.
Telling her.
It's amazing. I wasn't expecting it. I mean, I've seen some pictures of the house, and she's shown me a little bit of what she's done. But yeah, I mean, I think Seth was even surprised. I think she's done some things while he was gone this weekend. So yeah. She's done an amazing job.
Quick story that we didn't talk about in me and Jude's podcast, but we were going to give them our house in Chicago. If Jude and I live in the Docks, we're going to go move, I think, into a townhouse or something, or to like one of our parents' homes to give those guys our house. Because we were going to make it happen no matter what. Luckily, some lady let us rent it out. So
they were there a long time. And you know, as far as the age, Seth was, I'm saying maybe 2 days after he graduated. Yeah, we hopped in the Ford Fusion, and drove to Chicago, and I sobbed the whole way home on a plane. Really missed him. So, yeah. And it was funny because, you know, we went to the OpTic house. I remember, I think Nate Shot was there. You pulled up and I had my phone out and you're like, don't take any pictures. I'm like, I'm not taking or posting pictures.
I would never yell at you.
No, did I say yell? No, but you were like super, what's the word? You obviously didn't want a picture of the house on the internet, which ended up happening anyway, and swatting. And oh my gosh, that's a whole nother hour story, because my old address got swatted a couple of years ago. You know, I'd given the township police a heads up that it could happen, and it did happen. So
were you in the house when it happened?
No, it was an old address.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so the poor people who were now living
older lady. Yeah. It was, they said there were rifle shots going off, and a call came in from, I don't want to even talk about it. I don't want to start it. But anyway, Seth was 17, moved to the OpTic house. And I remember thinking I would see him the next day. So dropped him off. The house was vacant. Nothing was in there. And went to a hotel, tried to contact him the next day, you know, no answer. And I think they were off at Target. I remember seeing some really funny pictures of things they were doing in Target. And the cab driver, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to catch an early flight, go back to Pennsylvania. Cab driver picked me up. I'm crying. You know, he's like, do you want me to drive by? I'm like, no, just take me to the airport. The man on the airplane said, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really hard time for me. I was going through some things, and then for him to leave, that was really hard.
Oh man, I can't imagine. That's your baby boy. You know, like you already went through it with Jordan going off to college, and then like your baby. I'm not going to continue to talk about it because I don't want you to cry.
I'm not going to cry. But even parents that say, oh, my kids, I can't wait till they're gone. You know, it's like, really? Are you sure about that? And I know there were different situations, but Seth was never, nor Jordan was a kid that stayed at home. I was doing their laundry. They wore out their welcome and they needed to get on with their life. They did get on with their life. You know, and people say to me, wow, how'd you raise such, you know, amazing kids that just have figured things out on their own?
Well, one of them figured things out on their own.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Seth? Yeah. No. Jordan? No. Yeah. They both have. You know.
Oh, no, of course. I give Seth all the props in the world, but when it comes to, you know, his laundry and...
Yeah, I know.
That's still...
I know. He told me a story that his new house, the washing machine, he tried to do laundry before the trip, and it stopped before it drained, and then it stopped again and wouldn't spin. And he was just like, I'll just reset it. Every time I do laundry, I'll drain it, I'll push another button and spin it. And I'm like, no, you get it fixed.
Yeah.
You call somebody. It's a brand new house. Yeah. He said it's not. He just might not be working.
He's not working. He's not pushing the right buttons into this thing.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Oh my God. All right. I know that we've been going for a while. No, but I want to keep going if you have time, because I have lots of questions. I want to talk about you know, obviously 17 years old. He's moving to a house with dudes, which I guess it wouldn't have been that much different from him going off to college.
Right. So yeah, he was going to go to Penn State campus, and we kind of procrastinated about that, but he did apply to colleges, took his SATs, and he was going to an offsite campus for Penn State, Altoona or something. I was looking forward to it, but again, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but I really don't think that you had nailed down 60/50 until pretty much, early June. Yeah. And, you know, the graduation happened. You tweeted it when I told you it was online.
Talk about that.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that the other night. I was sitting at graduation, huge class, 650 people. We had it at the Hershey Arena, you know, big hockey rink. They have concerts there. I mean, the high school auditorium wasn't going to hold everybody. So that's where they have their graduations. And I was looking, at something during the graduation and saw that it was online. So you being, what did he call you today? His
Mexican dad.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but you just said it. Yeah. His Mexican dad. I told you, I shared the link with you. Well, then you tweeted it. So then this school, they probably had maybe 50 people watching the stream. And the numbers, they told me afterwards, started going into the thousands, and then 3,000, and then like 5,000, and then 8,000 people. And it was people all over the world that were tuning in to watch his graduation. So that was really funny. So then after he went up to the stage and got his diploma, I started getting tweets of screenshots of, people screenshotting when he got his diploma. And so then when he got his phone back after graduation, looked and saw this. He had no idea what was going on. So, maybe he had to be there. It was very funny.
Yeah.
And
did they call him Scumpy?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing we were talking about yesterday. The principal said that this was the year we found out what a honey boo boo was and understood the meaning of what an OpTic Scumpy was. And everybody cheered, and Twitter went crazy, and it was a lot of fun. It was fun.
Was he a super popular kid in high school? I wish I would have asked him.
You know what? The kids, Spaceman, and
love Spaceman.
Yeah, the kids that were here this weekend. Seth even said today that just really does a lot for me that my friends have stuck with me, and I don't remember them being around all that much. And I think they weren't around all that much because as far as like doing kids things, like I said, kids do. They weren't happening at my house. And I had an alarm. So they weren't sneaking out of my house at the middle of the night, or the alarm was going to go off. So they weren't around a lot. Jordan's friends would come to our house every Thursday, play poker. I saw a lot more of Jordan's friends than I did of Seth's. And, I remember just Seth being home a lot, playing video games at night, and not out carousing with the crowd. But those kids he was friends with in high school were the kids that were here this weekend, and I think it's like their 4th tournament. So they've done a good job keeping up with them.
So you're saying that they were the popular ones, and not necessarily Seth?
No, you know what? I asked Jordan that question one time in school when he was in school. High school quarterback. Good-looking kid, a lot of friends, and I didn't say, "Are you popular?" I don't remember what I said, but he looked at me like I was crazy and said, "We're not popular, Mom. We're not the popular kids." So it was such a big high school. There were so many different cliques of kids. I guess that existed. I didn't go to a school that big, so I probably wouldn't have survived, but they both excelled and did well.
Well, okay. What do you mean you wouldn't have survived?
I think the school I went to was like 310 kids in a class. And especially today, although today wasn't when they were in school, there was some social media with Seth, definitely not Jordan. It wasn't a thing. I don't know. I don't give myself enough credit. I guess I would have survived. But, there's a lot going on when you have a school with that many kids in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, we had cliques in our high school for sure. All right. Well, listen, I can go 2 more hours, and I asked that maybe in the future you come back and we'll do a round 2, maybe with Seth involved. But I do, as I did before we started this podcast, I do ask that you start your own podcast because there's you have a lot to say, not just necessarily from a Scumpy standpoint, but from a Kristen standpoint, and growing up in an era where your son becomes this sort of internet celebrity, and you have a lot of advice to give people. Support being number one, because it's, again, like I said earlier, it's really easy to say no.
It is easy to say no, and I just have to put it back on the parents to know their kids and to, I guess, be in their kids' lives and not just check out, because it's easy to check out. Most families have not only the dad working but the mom's working. I was tired, and I think that made me more of a strict parent because I didn't have a lot of time to be patient when there was, I'll just say, bullshit going on. You know, it's like we're not going down that road. I'm not going to tolerate that. I'll take this away. I'll take that away. And there were probably some days where they got some things by me because I was tired. Long days, just carting kids around in the car from this event to that event. Fortunately, they're 7 years apart. So at the very end of Jordan's basketball career, Seth might have a game across town, but that really didn't happen. Today, you've got parents, you've got 2 or 3 kids, 4 kids. They're all involved in 3 or 4 different things. And I really don't know how parents do it. So I think it gives them more of an opportunity to maybe check out on some of the things that need attention because they feel like they're doing all that they need to be doing by being the helicopter parent and getting their kid where they need to be. But maybe giving them a little too much time on their phones, not looking to see what they're looking at on their phones. I can't believe the things kids can do and look at on the internet just because it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. I thank you so much. I can't thank you and Jude enough for being in Seth's life. Gosh, I mean that from my heart. Now I am going to tear up.
You don't, please, then don't say it.
No, but you are.
Our pleasure.
You are his family, and all of OpTic is his family, and I know he is in the best possible hands and care when he's not under my roof. I know you're there.
I am, always.
See, I'm tearing up.
So when are you going to move to Texas? When are you going to join us?
It's tempting. I think this is the 4th time here. I've been here, I think, for 3 tournaments, and I was here for a work event a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I love everybody in OpTic. So, I do have a life in Pennsylvania, obviously. That would be very hard to leave. So, what is it, a casita? Is that what
the casita.
The in-laws?
Yeah. That's where you're staying, right?
That's where I'm staying. That's not a hotel. It's in Seth's house. It's the in-laws' quarters.
Yep.
It is such a nice space. I will be honest and say that I probably would need a little more space if it was a full-time gig.
Yeah.
But
well, that's where you sleep. You have the whole house. The whole house is your domain.
Well, but I don't know if Seth really wants his mom living with him. So I don't know.
True.
Yeah. All you 20-somethings out there, you want your mom to live with you, so.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kristen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, this isn't the last time that you appear on the podcast. If you guys enjoyed the episode, please remember to leave a thumbs up. All her Twitter information will be listed in the description down below. Once again, shout out to the sponsors for taking care of us this week. Candid Co., Squarespace, and of course, ExpressVPN. We'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.